Joining us here now on NBC Sports Bay Area, friend right now, covering the Niners. I saw him at Tahoe at Edgewood at the American Century Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Maiocco returns to the program. Good to see you, Matt. Look at us.
Good to see you too.
When I left your set there on Wednesday, I didn't think you'd be on Monday's program. I got to be honest with you. Certainly, since we're sitting there, we're talking. Hey, it's kind of crazy that the 49ers are drama free. Certainly from last year, all the contracts are signed, and now Jauan Jennings wants a trade because his $7.5 million, I would agree, is not commensurate for what he stands to have to be for the 49ers potentially. So I give you the floor. And what's going on with Jauan Jennings, Matt?
Well, he has plenty of leverage. There's no question about that. When you think, no Deebo Samuel, he's been traded. Brandon Ayuk, likely to miss a handful of games as he recovers from the ACL. You have Demarcus Robinson, who started 17 games with the Rams last season, and the 49ers signed as a free agent, a veteran guy, and his availability is a little bit in question as the NFL ponders whether to slap him with some league discipline under the policy for substances of abuse. So Jennings coming off was essentially a 1,000-yard season last year, as you noted, underpaid with an exploding wide receiver market. The problem for him is he is under contract, and if you are under contract and you hold out from training camp, you face significant fines. What will end up happening if he requests a trade? The 49ers are only going to trade him if they can feel like they're getting something out of it and it benefits them. There have been a lot of players through the years while John Lynch has been general manager who have requested trade as a negotiating ploy. He hasn't traded any of those guys except for this last offseason when Deebo Samuel, that was more of a mutual thing. They figured that had kind of run its course. But if he bets on himself and he has the kind of season in 2025 that he had in 2024, he stands to double his salary for next year. So it'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out. I'm actually a little bit surprised that it's taken this long, that this wasn't something that, maybe was more prevalent during the offseason when he could have just stayed away entirely from the offseason program and maybe put the screws to the 49ers a little bit then. Now it kind of seems a little bit late in the process for this to be gaining some momentum and some steam.
Well, I guess better late than never to get it out there. I guess if you're on the side of Jauan Jennings, and as always, I say here all the time, Matt, that we just see the tip of the iceberg. There's a larger iceberg when it comes to virtually every NFL story, and this kind of reeks of maybe Jauan Jennings' side got a response they were not happy with in recent days, or they thought that there could be a change of a stance by this point, and maybe that's what's up, Matt, just to speculate.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think even if you look a year out, was it possible or did it seem likely that this was going to be Jauan Jennings' last season with the 49ers? Probably. When you think about all of the big money contracts that they've doled out to keep their own guys in this offseason, huge money, obviously, for Purdy, for Kittle, for Fred Warner. And so last year they drafted a wide receiver in the first round, Ricky Pearsall. They also drafted Jacob Cowing. This year they drafted Jordan Watkins. So they've tried to kind of stock up with some young wide receivers with the money they've already given Brandon Ayuk a year ago after a very tumultuous and roller coaster of negotiations, which included, by the way, a trade request, which was not fulfilled. But certainly the 49ers did do some homework on that front. But, do they have the wherewithal to pay two wide receivers $15+ million per season, while also having high-priced players at nearly every position group? So, there was certainly a line of thinking where, this probably would be Jauan Jennings last year, because if he hits the open market, teams in a lot better salary cap shape can sign him to a contract that the 49ers probably wouldn't be able to match unless they decide that they're going to move on from Brandon Ayuk. So it's not clear cut how the 49ers approach this, But ultimately, I'm skeptical whether the 49ers can give him the kind of contract that he would want at this stage, which, as we talked about, would be a significant raise over what he has. It probably wouldn't have to be up to the level that he could get on the open market, but something maybe can kind of placate him by giving him a little bit more security, extend it out a year. And so we'll see how this thing all transpires. But you can look at it from both sides. Both sides probably feel like they have leverage. From the 49ers standpoint, he is under contract for this season.
And didn't they improve it last year?
Yes, they did.
Right.
Yeah.
So like that, they could be. I understand. They could be sitting here saying, "Well, we gave you a little extra toast last year, so here we are now. Like how many more times we have to do this?" And I guess, Jauan Jennings is like more. You can see obviously two sides of the coin here, Matt. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.